Hit that like, comment below, subscribe if you got the time. It's your boy Casual Rel with the Sign A podcast. And for this, let's get straight into it. If Canelo Alvarez beats the likes of Terence Crawford September 13th, 2025, what does that mean for the sport of boxing? What does that mean for Canelo's career, his legacy, future fights, right? I guess the first things first is, I guess it depends on how he beats him, right? Many are thinking that it'll be a decision victory, right? It could be close decision victory for the likes of Canelo Alvarez. And then there's another half that says he's going to knock him out clean, knock him out cold, and some predicting very early at that. If it's by the way of a decision, I think that's still good for the likes of Canelo Alvarez. I know some going to put doubt on his name, put doubt on his power, but I think that has nothing to do with it. I think that just speaks to the level of competition that he's facing. He's facing a fellow pound for pound future Hall of Famer at that, right? In the likes of Terence Crawford. It speaks to the level of his competition, it speaks to the level of the resume that Canelo Alvarez has on his career. Can't knock everybody out, especially at the highest of levels. Now, reverse that and say he does knock him out early, knocks him out quick. I think in some cases that just leaves it flat for the likes of Canelo. And what I mean by that, because there's a lot of people thinking that, this jump and weight for the likes of Terence Crawford, they expect this to happen. The smaller man who some think the likes of Green Machine knocked him down in their fight, right? And that he got clipped by the likes of, Gamboa. They expect Canelo to do damage and knock out this smaller man, especially if he gets active and lets his hands go. I think if that does happen with the knockout and it's clean, then it just speaks volumes of, well, you never should jump two weight classes. But it still shouldn't take too much away for Terence Crawford for at least trying to be great. And I want to focus on this. It shouldn't take nothing away for Canelo Alvarez for handling business and knocking out a fellow pound for pound future Hall of Famer. I think it should help him grow his career. I think it should be his next, put a next big umph in his future pay-per-view events, because obviously he will continue doing pay-per-view in the likes of Riyadh season, or at least getting big major events. I said pay-per-view, but let's just say big major events, because thanks to Turki Al-Sheikh, apparently pay-per-views are going away, and shout out to Netflix for putting this event on. I think it will help continue to grow the brand of Canelo if they just stick with Netflix or stick with a decently cheap platform with no pay-per-view for the likes of Canelo Alvarez. It'll help grow his name even further in the States and around the world. Yeah, if he gets up there and knocks out the likes of Terence Crawford September 13th, 2025 in fashion at that, I think it would explode him to even being the bigger face of boxing today, even maybe eclipsing the likes of Floyd Money Mayweather. I think he'll make even more money and be even more well known around the sport outside of us hardcore boxing fans and the casual boxing fan. I think he can grow outside of that and become more of a social media phenom. Just depends on how he wins this fight, because a lot of eyes are going to be upon this event. September 13, 2025 is a big Netflix event. If he knocks him out, cleans him up, I think it spells something for me that Canelo needs to go ahead and go back and try again against the likes of Bivol, or give us that David Benavidez and Bandera Roja fight that we've all been looking for, assuming David Benavidez gets past the likes of Anthony Yarde. He's got some business to take care of there. But let's say both of these men, who will be about 2 months or so out from, their fights of each other, once they're all, done and wrapped up, if both men are successful, there's no reason that we can't get that Cinco de Mayo 2026, that big weekend clash between these two big warriors. David Benavidez has been around for a long time. He's been stalking the likes of Canelo Alvarez. He wants that fight. I think he's deserved that fight, in my opinion. He's been trying to fight all these other guys and get his name growing. He's trying to cut his own lane and carve his own lane. He's been making some good fights and some big fights out there, and some dangerous ones at that. And I think he's definitely earned the likes of a Canelo look. He's definitely holding a belt over there. So that would be something to go see. Or, hey, go see if you can crack down Bivol now that he's had that back surgery. Apparently he's supposed to be feeling much better after relieving that pain he's been dealing with for the last few years. I think that'd be a good scrap to revisit. I think that's the only options for you left, because at 168, I guess assuming Billy is good, that he makes out of his scrap, maybe that fight. But to be honest, I mean, worth a big mega event on Netflix again that's going to drive the eyeballs to the sport and continue to grow you as a brand, as one of the best Mexican boxers to ever touch the sport of boxing. I think from this point forward, we're only talking big things. We're only talking big events. We're only talking big challenges. And the only ones I can see right now is either go get that get back from that man that beat you at 175 pounds for your first try, or, well, really your second try because you beat Kovalev, or you go take on the one that everybody says you're ducking. Go get him out the way. If you crack down the likes of a pound for pound future Hall of Famer like Terence Crawford, especially if you can match IQ to IQ, footwork to footwork, hand speed to hand speed, and show that you are of that level, that you are truly, one of the, not just a face of boxing, but one of the best, talented fighters to come through the sport in the last few years. And more importantly, that you still have it in you. A lot of people think with all this activity, all these wars, all these rounds, that Canelo Alvarez is just, kind of going down. He's on that decline. He's no longer at his prime. If you can step in there and show that at this level, this version of Canelo, that no one can beat this man, we got some big future fights lined up, some big future things lined up for you. Yeah, if Canelo Alvarez beats the likes of Terence Crawford, I guess it's pretty obvious that from here on out, it'll grow him even further as a face of boxing. But more importantly, I think it will solidify to the world of boxing that he is a true fighter, a true boxer who is more than just power. I think a lot of people rest on the power of Canelo, that he just has good shot placement here and there, and he eventually breaks his fighters down, and that he can only win when he's either counter punching or trying to stalk a man down into a corner. If he can beat him, I'll prefer him to beat him by decision if he's going to beat him, because it can show that you can actually box. It shows that you actually have high ring IQ, the thing that a lot of people have been sleeping on, that you're not just a bruiser, that you're not just a power puncher, that the fact that you have high athleticism, high ring IQ, and boxing technique. I think that will show it'll be the better showing for Canelo if he went by decision. Obviously, the more entertaining showing will be knockout, especially if it's an early knockout like at that, showing that he has that power, that pop, that oomph, and it's still there. And more important, that he can get his shots off against the presumed faster fighter. Yeah, if he beats the likes of Terence Crawford, I think it starts to solidify Canelo as probably one of the best Mexican boxers to ever touch the sport of boxing. It will really help grow his brand even further, push him as a face, and push him potentially to be his own future brand, maybe establish his own. I mean, I know he has his own Canelo Promotions, but I'm talking about really grow his stable to be his own standalone promotional company, doing business with the likes of REWRITTEN and Turki Al-Sheikh, or directly with the Netflix, the Amazon Primes, maybe get back to ESPN, you name it. I think it will help him grow big. I think this is his opportunity. I think he does realize how serious this opportunity is. Yeah, he's made a lot of money over his career, but there's nothing like a legacy fight. One that people think you're going to be challenged in, one that many people think the other fighter is the higher ring IQ guy, and your only chance to beat him is by power because you're the naturally bigger fighter. I think if you go in there and show that you can do both, it will grow, solidify, and confirm Canelo Alvarez is one of the greatest to ever do it, and one of the best to ever step in there, and one of the biggest faces of boxing we've seen in a long time. Anyways, that's our opinion on that. We talked way too long, man. Yes, if he beats the likes of Terence Crawford, obviously it's good news for him. It's up for him. It'll be great things for him. But with that said, I do want to see the David Benavidez fight or Dmitry Bivol. That's it. If you beat the likes of Terence Crawford, and don't get me wrong, it's a tough task to ask for. It's your boy Cash Rope Sunday Podcast, man. Hit that like, comment below. Subscribe if you got the time. Until the next time. Peace.